Big Sky Breakdown back for another week, and now we got lead up to the national championship game. JP Flynn, former Bobcat, great joining us here on the Big Sky Breakdown, presented in part by Town Pump. Town Pump, Montana's best. That's 1953. They're helping us get to Nashville, and we couldn't do it without them. What's up, man? Sounds like you survived a Christmas. You're the
Yeah.
lone soldier there. For those that haven't followed along, JP is uh, in a Grizz family, even though he's about as staunch of a Bobcat as we ever known. So I'm glad you made it through a Christmas dinner with a bunch of Grizzlies, especially after your big victory.
Yeah. It was the only one. I'm heavily outnumbered. Um, lot too little, but it is, it's fun. Everyone has a good time with it. Everyone's fun about it. No one takes it too seriously. So it's a good time.
Well,
Well, I guess this year it's a better time than
yeah, right.
most. So
Well, and lately, for sure, definitely, if you are Montana State in general, what did you make of the way that the Grizz sort of stamped it? Because now they have two wins in 1 year over the Grizz for the first time in over a century. So, what did you think of just how it all went down in Bozeman last Saturday?
to be honest, man, it's just kind of getting to the point where and I'm sure, like, like I talk with Carolyn, and she talks about how when they grew up in the streak, and everyone always wants to talk about the overall record, and it's difficult for me because I wasn't here during the streak
Sure.
to really wrap my head around. And then speaking of the overall record, and I'm like, well, yeah, if you win 16 games in a row, it's kind of hard to make those up in a year.
Right.
But it just seems like during my time within this rivalry, like, and as of late especially, like, beating the Grizz is just becoming an expectation. Like, and like, it's like listening to Andrew talk about how he used to look at the Grizz, and how, like, we're just expected to be in the national title, we're expected to beat the Cats. That's kind of how I look at it now for the Cat, just on its head. Like,
Yeah.
I look at it as the Cats should be competing for a national title every year, the Cats should beat the Grizz every year, and they should be Big Sky champions every year. And when they do those things, it's not that shocking. It just happens, and that's what it's supposed to be. And like I said, I'm sure people go back, well, they led the losing season. I was part of one of those losing seasons. So, like, it's just, I'm talking about within the last decade, it just kind of seems that's the way things are supposed to go. It's not that shocking. It's not that surprising. We discussed how it was going to be a different being playing in Bozeman. We knew that the Cats were going to have success on the ground. We knew the Grizz weren't going to, roll over, which I initially kind of looked like they may for a minute there. But even then, after we fumbled that ball right before half, I looked at Carolyn and I go, "Oh, this game, the Grizz are going to go down and score," and this one just turned into a ball game. Shouldn't have been a ball game going into half. The Grizz make a play, they go down, they execute, they get the ball back right out of half, they go down and score, they take the lead. And it's just, I was kind of listening to Tommy talk after the game as well, and he just said, he's like, just never really felt like we didn't have control of that game. And that's kind of how I felt watching it. Like, from the first drive, even when the Grizz took the lead, 20 to whatever, 24-20, and I just never felt like the game wasn't ours. I just was like, yeah, we're supposed to win this game. We're gonna win this game.
It's going to be such a fundamental shift in the fan base too when this becomes like omnipresent for Bobcats of all ages instead of just certain ages, right? It's
Yeah,
almost like BCAD now in the span of
yeah,
Bobcat fans because like
yeah,
oh my, I was just doing one of these with Tom Stuber and he's been covering the Cats and or following the Cats since the early 1980s, and when he was in school at Montana State they won the national championship but then fell apart and did nothing for then another 15, 20 years. And he talked about how like that gave the fan base this weird complex. But now for people like of your age and younger, that's not been the. I mean, you look at the last 15 years, and the Cats have dominated the rivalry, and they've dominated just the overall landscape of the Big Sky Conference. I mean, that to me, rivalry aside, I know everybody loves focusing on the rivalry, but since 2010, the Cats have 7 Big Sky titles. The Grizz have one. Like that's where you're getting your butt whipped if you're Montana. Like not only are you not beating your rival, you're not winning the league like you used to win year in and year out, and the Cats are.
it just, like I said, it's just not that shocking. And I think the complex thing, you're totally spot on. Like, I think there's so many Cat fans that are just almost infatuated with the Grizzlies. Like
Totally, man.
everything that, yes, like everything that we do, they do, it all has to revolve around what is the University of Montana doing. And when you look at me and you ask me about it, I'm like, who cares what they're doing?
Right.
Like
Right.
no one cares what they are, and that's not even me like taking a shot at the Grizz. I hope everyone's actually really clear about that. I'm not. I think the Grizz went 13-2 this year. Maybe yeah, they lost 2 games to their, to their rivals in big time moments of the season. But at the end of the day, they still won 13 games and made a semifinal appearance and put together a pretty solid roster after losing like everybody from the season before. I don't really have a ton of shade to throw at the Grizz. I'm just saying we're here, right? And the Grizz are here currently, right? And that can easily flip. But let's worry about continuing to
Yep.
push this here, not worrying about pushing this down,
Totally.
right? We push this thing up and continue to raise this level of like I love what we did with the indoor facility, right? The indoor facility was not, we didn't kind of, haphazardly do that. We went all in on it. We made an outstanding facility. We're looking at, we did the scoreboard one piece at a time. We did the complex. Now we're going to look to finish the stadium. Everything is coming together and coming together at the right time for for Montana State University. Who cares what the Grizzlies are doing? Right. Then I mean, it's literally like I said this at the beginning of the year. Typically, at some point in time, I mean, and I named all those different references. Little brother, older brother, kind of flip, right?
Yeah.
It's flipped, right? We're older brother now; they're younger brother now. Like however you want to look at it, or call it. Say little brother overtook big brother, whatever, right?
Sure.
Cat's got a better program. Cat's got a better thing going. Like I said, let's worry about continuing to build up what we got going here and not infatuate ourselves with what they're doing over the hill.
Yeah, yeah, it's so interesting because I know that Bobby Houck's press conferences annoy a lot of people, and he's very crass and surly sometimes, but he did have one moment of where he did give it up to the Cats after the game, and
Yeah, but in like a real
in his
like
way of doing it, for sure.
yes,
What I
yeah.
thought the essence of what he said was true, though. He said, we set the bar in the Big Sky Conference and everybody was chasing us. And now all of a sudden, that's not the case anymore. Montana State has set the bar. And I think it's actually like one of the fundamental things in the rivalry that both schools have to realize is the Grizz are in denial that the Cats have reset the bar and that they're outpacing them. They still think they set the bar, and that's what's holding them back. But the Cats, on the other hand, I think the more Bobcat people that are, influential or even a part of the organization in any form or fashion that believe how you believe, that's the next step for the Cats. Stop worrying about what the Grizz are doing. We are the ones setting the pace. Let's go, dominate this thing across the board.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think Leon's got the right attitude about it. So that obviously helps a ton. Ed was like a massive, massive piece in this puzzle. It obviously sucks that she's gone. And obviously Choate did a great job too. And now Vigen's kind of just, taking the thing over and making sure that it's steered in the right direction too. But yeah, I think that everyone is on board. It's like, hey, let's continue to make Montana State, like you said, setting the bar, setting the standard. We are, the best in the Big Sky. We're a title contender every single year. Like I said, if, little brother across the way wants to try and compete every now and again, that's fine too. But let's just make sure that what we're doing is we're concerned with what we're doing, not with what they're doing. Right? Like right now, like I said, I didn't even know what we were really going to talk about. We hopped on like we were talking about the rivalry, if we are going to talk about
Sure, right,
Nashville.
right,
But
right.
I did like most of my stuff. I didn't really research the stats of the game. The semifinal game. I've been doing a ton of research on Illinois State because I'm
Yeah,
like, who cares about winning a semifinal game? We've
right.
done that like you know however many times in the past 5 seasons now. Like we need to go win a national title.
No doubt.
And let's put the cherry on top. Let's climb this mountain. Let's plant that Bobcat head flag, at the top of Everest here. Like let's get this thing done. Not concern ourselves with the University of Montana.
The one point I did want to talk to you about the last game is just the continued ability to respond. That's been the thing that's been so impressive to me during the Brent Vigen era as a whole. There's certainly like these couple outlier games when you're talking about a 75 game sample size. You're going to have some games where it maybe unravels on you a little bit, but basically, unquestionably over the last 3 years, when the Cats have their backs against the wall, or it comes to like this pivotal moment in the game, they respond, and it's exactly what happened on Saturday. They're up 20-3, then the Grizz score 21 straight, and all of a sudden they're up, and then the Cats just buried them. And it's very much like the national championship game last year. The Cats just were unfortunately behind by too much by the time they started rallying. But I mean, they've done this time and again. Same thing in the UC Davis game earlier this year. Same thing in the Yale game where they forced the turnover late to seal it, even if it wasn't as comfortable of a margin as maybe people would have wanted. That's the thing I think has been the thing that's helped elevate them as a football program is just the ability to, when it gets to be nut cutting time, boom, we start swinging, we battle our way out, and we figure out a way to win the fight. And I mean, that's been a trademark of Vigen these last 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a trademark of Vigen. It's been a trademark of, the defense. Yeah, it's been a culmination of a program wide mentality of we belong at the top, and so when you're a winner and you expect to win every single game, you never count yourself out of it, and so no matter what the situation is, whether you're down 14, down 21, whether you're up 20 points, whatever, it's like you got to find a way to win the game. I've said this on past too. It's like you're never going to win the play or win the game in one play. So yeah, it's a very, very rare occurrence when, you go down the field and you got one play to win the game. It's a culmination of taking a step, throwing a punch, everything. You just got to continue to stay the course, trust the process, and realize that if we do our job for the next 14 reps, we're going to have a chance to win this game. Then the defense has to go out. They got to do their job for 3 reps, right? And then this special punt return team's got to come out. They got to do their job for a rep. Then we got to go and do our job for 12 more reps. And you just never can. And I think that's what Vigen really like. If you really watch him, I almost think it's kind of like his mantra, his MO, his personality. Like he just never seems too high or too low. And and his kids play that way. Like the team seems to play that way. Even it's like you watch kids, with they're in the end zone, their heels are on the goal line on the defense, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got to make a play! I got to make a play!" It's like it just doesn't seem that way when you watch it. And then all of a sudden, a ball gets tipped. Cole Taylor picks a ball off, and he's going the other way for however many yards against Yale, or Caden Dowler makes a play and takes it to the house. It just seems like everyone realizes like, hey, I just got to do my job this play. Things will fall into place, and we'll get to where we're supposed to be going. And it's awesome to see. And like I said, you just never see Vigen's like the way the team plays is the way Vigen acts. Every now and again, he loses his cool over some sort of call or something like that. But I don't know, man. The way he leads the team seems to be perfect. Seems to be the way that, like I said, the way they play is the way that man acts.
Yeah, him and Stuber and I were talking about this too. Like the way he operates the program too is so in line with his personality too, right? When it comes to like last year after the national championship game, they had a bunch of dudes just peace out. Connor Moore, Rohan Jones, Scott Trey Humphrey, Drew Pallador, like all these good players were just out. They were just in the portal almost immediately. And I think in this day and age, it's really easy to have a reaction where you say, all right, even if we're not a transfer program, we're still going to go 1-for-1 on transfers, right? Like this guy leaves, we're going to bring in a guy at his spot just to like fortify our roster. Vigen didn't do that. He just said, hey, who do we got? Who do we got here? Let's see who we got. Okay, these are the spots we need. Let's get these guys better. Like all our corners left. Okay, that's fine. Let's just get all these guys that are freshmen and sophomores ready to roll.
Yeah,
And they did it.
yeah. He just never seems out of control or never seems flustered. Never seems like he. And I think he has a ton of faith in what he's continued to build here in Bozeman and
Yeah.
and trust the process. And like you always kind of listen. Nick Saban, I feel like really kind of made that saying,
Yeah.
famous. Um, but it's almost like a meld of kind of old school and then this new transfer portal mentality of
Yeah.
football. Like, hey, let's reload, okay, with what we got. All right. And then, okay, recognize what we need and then let's go get it. Right.
Yeah.
We don't need to go, oh, hey, like you said, we don't need to go 1-for-1. We don't need a JUCO guy. We don't need a developed guy. We got a guy here who we believe in that's been in our program for whether it's 6 months or 3 years. He can get the job done. Let's give him the opportunity. If he can't get the opportunity done, we'll go find somebody this summer.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Bobcat Nation, we're so proud to have played for Montana State.
And wouldn't be where we are today without this program.
Now it's our turn to give back. Bobcat Collective is making a real difference for current and future athletes.
Montana State gave us a foundation to pursue our NFL dreams.
Join us in building something special, because when we invest in our athletes, we invest in the future of Bobcat football. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Join the collective today. Go Cats.
Great game out there today, boys. That was awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, check it out. We got the new 5th quarter jerseys and a note from Tommy. Tommy says, best of luck this season, and remember to keep the 5th quarter tradition alive. Whoa! Hey, guys, look. We made it to the R-Bar.
I'm already ready to go.
Our plays are on fire today, boys.
Yeah, so these wings. And the drinks are secured.
Cheers to our bar.
5th quarter.
Meet the MSU players here at the R-Bar after every home game.
That's what makes the Justin Lamson acquisition so brilliant and why it worked so well. Because it's not just a guy out of the portal, right? Like, it's a guy that Vigen had been recruiting since Vigen was at Wyoming, right? Like, he's known this guy for 6 or 7 years by the time they get him to Bozeman. That helps you have so much trust.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you're not trying to build a relationship in 4 months and try, and then try and play a football game. And like I said, I told you this early on, the thing that has impressed me most about Lamson is nothing to do with his play. It's how much the kids respect him when he's commanding a huddle. And in order to earn that in, a 3-4 month time period is absolutely insane to me at a college football program, because that's years of work and, trials, tribulations, ups, downs, good times, bad times that build those bonds that, essentially can't be broken. And those kids, they go to war for Lamson. So Vigen obviously knew he was bringing in the right guy, and it has paid off substantially for the program and for, Coach Vigen himself.
What do you make of the part about the coaching staff completely turning over last offseason and not missing a beat? I mean, most of the time you have a lot of speed bumps when you change coordinators on both sides of the ball, and you lose, a stud offensive line coach who was one of the best coaches in the country, as far as a position coach.
Oh, yeah.
Al Johnson. And they didn't, special teams coordinator leaves. They had, half their staff left. And that also has not been a narrative at all this year, which to me has just been so, first of all, surprising, but also impressive.
Well, the one thing, on the defensive side of the ball, they hired from within, which obviously helps, right? You're not changing a ton of scheme. You're keeping a lot of things the same, and the verbiage is all, they talk the way they talk. They things, how obviously I'm sure had a huge, hand in how things were done in years past. So, and then the one thing that was smart about, bringing in a guy like Sturbick was, I've talked to Sturbick a couple times. I really like the guy. And why do I like him? It's because he is like an egoless personality. Right. And that's what I love about the dude. He has his, he's got his schemes, his plays, his thoughts and stuff that he loves and he believes in. But at the end of the day, he came into a program that had established success. Yep. He wasn't going to step into this thing and say, hey, this is my way or the highway. He's going to be like, okay, let me mold what I know to what this team knows, and then let's mix together my thoughts with what has already been working here and, continue to make this thing as successful as we can. And that's where I think he's done a really good job, because a lot of guys come into a moment like this and, you hire a new OC, whoever, and they're, I don't even know if it's necessarily ego or not. It's just they know what they know, right? And I think that Sturbick put in a ton of time, and instead of trying to make 105 people, well, really like 125 people learn a new offense, he decided to keep it as one guy to learn a new offense, and he took the brunt of the work and did a great job of learning what they're doing in Bozeman right now, and then kind of, making that match what he knew so he could call it to the best of his ability, at the same time keep it the same for the kids that are already there.
I've thought about this a lot too with sort of the evolution of Vigen's game day demeanor, because the first couple of years he was much more like an overseer, and now you're right, he still is stoic, but he lights people up a little bit sometimes. And there was a couple of those third and fourth downs against Cal Poly where he was unhappy, or there's been some calls where he's been pretty mad, and that wasn't necessarily how he was. But I wonder if some of his like game day personality has evolved because of the way that, like, the contrasting with the offensive coordinator, right? Like when he had Housewright, you don't need to bring the juice when you got Taylor Housewright. Like Housewright's as brash and as like as in your face of a play caller as I've ever covered. And now Sturbeck.
Yeah, you probably need to do the opposite with Housewright.
Totally,
you probably need to be reeling in, pulling him back.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I think Vigen was more of the overseer, the straight man then, and now he's a little bit more of a fiery guy, because now Sturbeck's upstairs, and Sturbeck is just dialing it up, and it's just been really interesting to watch the evolution of the personality of their staff and their team at the same time.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's just like anything, right? In college, it's a little bit different, because you can kind of somewhat recruit, to your coaching staff, but you also have to make sure that what's available. But you got to be willing to change, and you got to be willing to mold and be different. And I think Vigen does a good job with that. Sturbeck does seem like the chilling out lax and being all cool and shooting b-ball outside of the school. You know what I mean? Like, he just seems like he's pretty laid back and having fun. He gets worked up too, of course, just like any coach does. But I think you're totally right. I just think it's just a personality based thing. And I think when Housewright was there, Vigen was like, okay, I have no need to yell right now. Taylor can do all the yelling. And, now Sturbeck's a little more laid back. So Vigen turns his volume up, cranks the volume up a little bit to kind of, continue to make sure that there's some fire and some intensity there. But it's like you said, for the most part, I think he's pretty stoic. I think he's pretty even keel. And then the one thing that I do like is about Coach Vigen is he doesn't really let his team play to the level of their opponent.
Right.
And when I say that, that doesn't mean they don't have bad games against bad teams. He still holds them to a standard when they're playing it, a subpar team. So, they're playing a team like Cal Poly, and he's pissed because, we're not playing up to our standard.
Right.
And I like that. I 100% agree with that. It's like, now, you don't need to run the score up on people, or put up 50 to put up 50 or, whatever. But it's like, okay, we don't need to play sloppy. Let's continue to play clean football. When the backups go in, you should still know your assignment. You may lose a one-on-one matchup, but at least let's make sure we're putting our hat in the right, on the right hat and things like that. So I agree with Vigen, in those moments in time of continuing to set the standard and own the expectation.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Shine Beer Sanctuary is leading the charge when it comes to promoting beer culture in Montana. Located at the corner of Church and Main and downtown Bozeman, the locally owned and operated tap house and bottle shop has the best beer selection in the Treasure State. The bar has 32 rotating beers on tap with everything from Duvel to local ciders, gluten-free beers, and non-alcoholic options. The bottle shop has more than 400 beer offerings from all over the world, and Shine offers Cicerone-trained beer guides. Come enjoy beer heaven at Shine Beer Sanctuary in Bozeman.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any town pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
The evolution of the leadership within the program too, like from a player perspective, I think that has been, like, at least to me, that's been the key to their season. I remember being there on campus for media day, and that was one of the stories I wanted to write was how do you have a transition of leadership when you've had guys that were such long-term leaders? 'Cause it's even in the transfer portal era and all this, it's really rare to have guys that like rise to the top when they're really young. Like Tommy Milata and Brody Grebe were like the leaders of the team from like sophomore year on, and that's
Yeah,
I mean
as
that's
you
what
said,
happens.
when they're 20.
Yeah, right. Like, and that's hard. That's really hard for those. But then also, it's hard to replace them when you've had like the same guys leading the way for 2, 3 years. And I was so interested in that. And I remember talking to those guys, talking to Titan Fleischman and Paul Brott and Kenneth Iden and Adam Jones and JT Reed and the guys that ended up becoming the captains. And they all were like, "Yeah, man, this team's way different personality wise than last year, and we're gonna make it like that." But I could also tell like that, especially the lineman guys, I could tell that they had been like listening to the noise and that was a good thing. Like that they were motivated by that, you know? Like Paul Brott had been like hearing, what the heck you guys going to do without Brody Grebe? He's a 3-time All-American. You know, you guys aren't shit without Brody Grebe. You could tell
Right.
he had been hearing that and being like, I'm going to show you what we are. We're going to be the best defensive line in the country, right? Like same thing with Adam Jones. Oh, Scott Troy Humphrey's gone? That's fine. We're going to show you we're still the best running back duo in the FCS. So I thought that's been probably the key to their entire season is the personality of the team is different, but they made it their own personality and they sort of let themselves have a chip on their shoulder. I think that's what's driven them to this point.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the old saying goes, right? Bad teams have no leadership, good teams, the coaches lead, and then great teams, the players lead.
Right, exactly.
You know, and so when a coaching staff can just concentrate on coaching, they don't have to worry about holding kids accountable and all that stuff because that's taken care of within itself. You know, that's when the teams are going to have the most success. And so regardless of, and you know, we can kind of, I got how many times have you probably had this conversation about the in-state recruiting thing? I don't really want to dive into this thing at this point in time,
Right.
but I'll just say this, right? That's where I really think this whole thing comes full circle.
Right.
Obviously, we both know the Cats have won the in-state recruiting battle. Let's not beat a dead horse, okay? And I've always said that the core of the team is built around the in-state kids.
Yep.
Not being an in-state kid, a kid who is a leader, a kid who is a captain, a kid who I'm fully aware of this and admitting this, that the core of the team is built around the in-state kids and the leadership means more coming from them, right? Those kids tend to stay longer. They tend to be okay with turning down a whatever offer to leave the state to play for their hometown dream team and stay close to family. And so that's where this thing, you know, it is really making a massive difference because every one of those kids you just named, minus JT Reed, in-state kid, right? They all want to be a Montana State Bobcat right now. You know, I mean, it used to be they all wanted to be a Montana Grizzly. Now they all want to be a Montana State Bobcat. They want to compete for a national title. Okay. And they want to have their face. They want to be the face of the program. And so that is a huge, huge, and like you said, the personality is different. Things are different. The leadership is different. But as long as you can continue to reload and not rebuild with those core Montana kids, every year your leadership is going to come from a player-based mindset. And maybe that that kid, obviously you could have one or two kids from out of state or a transfer or whoever, be a captain or be a leader on the team. I'm not saying they all have to be Montana kids, but if that core is reloaded every single year with kids from the 406, you're going to have a great team because your leadership's going to be unmatched.
As a guy that coaches high school football in the state, do you still see the talent as being, I've seen it evolve. I don't know if it's better or worse. I just think it's different. Like there's just more Carter Dalkeys and Taco Dollars out there and less
Troy Biermans and
Troy
Brock
Bierman's right.
Coyles.
Yeah. Like less of those type of guys, but I think there's a lot of great talent. Do you still see the talent being high in the state of Montana?
Yeah, so I see that it's shifted from inside to outside.
Right.
Like even when I first started, and you had the Paul Brats,
right?
And those types of guys that were like, you go into a game, Paul Brat, Talon Marsh, Kenneth Iden,
Zach Cruz.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like,
how do you block them? Right.
Exactly. Like I don't even know what to say. And now it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of flipped. And now it's just gone from those interior, whatever players, to the outside. And now it's like, when I'm, drawing up plays on a Sunday afternoon and everyone's like, whoa, we got to have a hat for a hat. I'm like, yeah, well, Carter kind of counts for like 2 hats. So I don't really, I'll just put the ball in his hands, and it's like he's got a guy lead blocking for him. Good luck tackling him, and it's the same thing. Like, right now, across the state, the Ludwig kid or the Bonner kid was a really, the Snell kid from Billings Central was a freak show. Salter, Curtis Fox from Laurel, you know what I mean? Even as you trickle down in the divisions, it's all the skill players that are really kind of emerging, and the offensive line play has, I mean, it has dropped. There's just not the size that you're kind of used to seeing. So yeah, that's what I would agree with you. Yeah, there's still plenty of talent around here, and you guys will find out soon. Carter Dalkey's name will be a mainstay.
Yeah,
I don't think in too short of a time period.
What do you make of that? There not being as many offensive linemen just in the state. Like, why is that? Is it just less kids around, or what?
The kids want beach bodies, man. I don't know what to tell you.
right. That's like a real thing though, right? Like they're not like committed to putting on weight and just being a big guy.
Oh, it like pains me, like absolutely kills me. Like I don't even know how much money our program puts into protein and post lift nutrition for our kids at Gallatin High. But so many kids are like, yeah, that doesn't taste good, or that doesn't. I'm like, what? Since when did it matter what it tastes like?
Right.
It's just, I don't know. I do think that things have gotten less competitive here over the years too. Like just kids in general have gotten less competitive. It's like, I don't know, from myself specifically, just as a person, it's like, dude, I wanted to win everything I did. Like I would want to be the first one to the car out of, church on a Sunday morning when my family was walking out of whatever, dude. Like I just wanted to win everything. And now it's like, oh, we didn't win, but we played okay, and like we tried really hard, and and I'm like, participation trophies aren't for me. So I don't know. The mindset's just a little different, man. And it's just hard getting kids to understand that you can win every single time you step on a field, and you can win every single rep, every time you put your hand in the dirt, every time you put your foot in the ground. Like you can win, and you need to believe that you're going to win. And if you don't win, you better get back up and win the next one. And it's just hard. It's a hard mentality to, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it is. It's just so interesting to me because when I go watch high school football in Montana now, like the guys that touch the ball are better than they've ever been, right? Like there wasn't any guys like Jackson Presley throwing the ball around 20 years ago or whatever. But
no.
But the line play is just like nothing compared to what it used to be. So we digress.
We had Carter Dalkey, Quinn Clark's at Nebraska. He's starting on New Year's Eve. We got some kids coming out of the pipe that I feel pretty good about. We got a tight end. We have Rylan Schlepp. We had Tyler Nansel that's playing at Drake. We got another tight end who's only going to be a sophomore next year, he'll be a household name in a short period of time. I mean, this is just Gallatin High. You know what I mean? Like This is not like we got another tight end, like I said, coming out of the pipe who's going to be a D1 kid. We just got buckets of talent all the time.
Yeah.
It's like Montana schools got it, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell us about Illinois State then. You said you've looked into them a little bit. What have you seen so far of the Red Wings? What a crazy run, man. 4 straight road wins. That's nuts.
4 dominating road straight wins. And to me, like, I really like their quarterback play. And the one game that I really sat down and watched was the North Dakota State game. So I know that sounds a little bit crazy because he threw 5 interceptions in the North Dakota State game. But he had only thrown 5 interceptions up to that point in the season. The fact that they beat North Dakota State turning the ball over as much as they did is unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. The fact that you went into the Fargo Dome really just did not play a great game on offense and came out of there with a win is unbelievable. Now, the thing that they are pretty good up front on both sides of the football. I think that we have the potential to expose them on the outside. I shouldn't say I dislike our matchup inside on the offensive side of the football. The only thing that scares me is that they are a Missouri Valley Conference team,
right.
At the end of the day, right? It's not like we're gonna line up and we're gonna scare them, and by running the football, that's what they do. That's what they see week in and week out. They have some pretty good skill players on the outside offensively. Tight ends play a good brand of football. They block well in the game. They aren't like elite route runners, but they catch the ball when it's thrown to them. And then their offensive line's as solid as it gets. So, I mean, to me, this game, I am a little nervous that people are overlooking this thing and feel like we just won a national championship because we beat Montana, at home in the semis. And I hope that, and I think Vigen said it the entire time and every presser and everything, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. And the fact that he's gone, this will be his 3rd national title trip in, 4 or 5 years, I think says enough that he knows it's time to go win one. And this is the time to do it. Let's not let this opportunity get away from us here. We have a hell of an opportunity in front of us to get over this, 41-year drought of not having a national title and listening to the guys over the hill be like, well, we got 2 and you got 1 and the one that you got was a fluke and blah, 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 blah. So let's go get one. Let's start, I would love to see this thing turn into kind of flip into a new North Dakota State because we've got all the pieces there now. We just need to get over this final hump and kind of start this dynasty run, in my opinion.
I would certainly be weary, and I know Montana State will be internally of Illinois State, no question, because if you go to Fargo, I mean, there's only one team that's ever gone to Fargo and won. That's them. I mean, I guess them and James Madison.
James
right?
Madison, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years ago. But like I always say in a bracket like this, if you beat the 1 seed, you are the 1 seed. Like you replace the 1 seed on that side of the bracket.
Yeah.
Just like the Cats did in 2021. So if you're Illinois State, you got to just have, boatloads of confidence coming in. I mean, you got 4 road wins in a row.
Oh man, you got to be letting it hang right now. You got to think to yourself like, yeah, my don't stink. I'm a walk my walk right now, and no one can tell me different. What Illinois State has going right now, I was praying Villanova won that game.
Right.
Illinois State is a red hot football team. We're obviously going to have the fan base, I think, advantage by a mile, which will help bring a little bit of noise to Vanderbilt. That stadium is going to be massive. We're not putting 40,000 people in there, so it's not like that's going to overwhelm anybody. And especially in the conference that they play in, they play in plenty of environments that are, loud and scary, quote unquote. But yeah, I think the big thing that scares me, and I've been saying this all along, all throughout this playoff run was, pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball. And now I'm a little, finding a way to pound the ball is what they need to do. But it's not going to be as easy as like, oh, hey, we're better than you on our side of the football. So good luck. Which that was how every single game that we had played up to this point, I felt that way.
Right.
I felt like, hey, we're just better than you are up front. Like, good luck. We're going to run inside zone. We're going to run outside zone. We're going to run power read. Have fun. Good luck stopping it. We're going to wear you down and kill you with 1,000 cuts. I don't necessarily feel that way this week, or not this week, but you know what I'm saying.
Totally, yeah.
Feel that way going against Illinois State. They are built. They're Missouri Valley team. They're built to stop the run. They know week in and week out, you got to stop power play after play after play if you want to even be, a chance at a competitor in that conference. So they're gonna have to find a way to, lighten up the box, do whatever. They got to get this thing. They can't. What's the word I want to say? I mean, I think in the last 3 games, the one stat that I did see, we're like over 70% run based. Now those numbers are skewed. We talked about this.
Yep.
But at the same time, I don't want to see those numbers change a ton. They got to find a way to to continue to establish their run game and get the ball downhill, because I don't care what anyone says. I think Taco Deller's a really good football player. I think Justin Lamson's a really good football player. Our 2 best football players on the offensive side of the football are Julius Davis and Adam Jones. Yes. And I want to see those dudes get fed play after play after play. Good things will happen. Yep. So they got to figure out a way to do it.
Yep. Well, and then their actually best player is Titan Fleischman. So you got to run those 2 guys right behind.
Yes. My right? Mistake. I said, I'll hand up. Offensive line guy. Yeah. My bad. Titan. My bad.
To me, though, that's it, right? Is especially when the Cats are flowing. Like when the field is to the right side and they run the outside zone to the wide side of the field and they're running behind Fleischman and Jefferson. That to me is the entire key to this thing, because 46 tight E-camp for Illinois State. That dude's nasty, man. That's as good of an inside linebacker as I've seen on film, period. I've watched him 3 weeks in a row in the playoffs. And he reminds me of the old school guys, man. He's nasty. And so that's
he's like Brian Bosworth.
Yeah, he is, man. And Fleischman versus him is going to be really good in the box. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch him, man. I think, the Cats are obviously the favorite to win it. I just hope they go out and don't take this opportunity for granted, which I don't think they will. I think Vigen's got these boys squared away and ready to rock.
Well, we appreciate it, man. We'll look forward to recapping it all with you on the other side, but thanks so much for jumping on today.
Absolutely, man.